Welcome to the Wiesbaden Arts and Crafts Centre and the Woodshop Virtual Safety Class. So this is where your visit to the woodshop will start on each occasion. You'll check in here and tell the person on the front desk that you're here to use the woodshop. That way, when you come into the woodshop, we know when you came in and we can account for the number of people who are here. When you come to use the shop, there are a couple of things you really do need to know. First of all, we'll need you to sign in on the sign-in sheet. This keeps an account of when you arrived and how long you were here. Secondly, before you enter the shop, if you hear any machines running, please wait. There is a bell on the table you can press. It will ring in 2 locations in the shop. At that point, we can turn everything off before we bring you in. So the purpose of this briefing is to set out some of the rules and regulations and the do's and don'ts of using this woodshop. Once you've completed watching this video and on your first visit, you'll be given a card copy of this in this form. On the back 2 pages will require your signature, which you must hand to the Woodshop Manager. This then certifies that you have done the briefing, and it's a record we can keep in place for the next 5 years. If you've already taken a safety class somewhere in the last 3 years, we will accept that and you won't necessarily have to do ours. Our first priority in the woodshop is your safety. We want to make sure that not only are you safe, but you have fun while you're here. And to that end, it is important that you understand that you cannot use any of the fixed machines in the woodshop unless the woodshop safety supervisor is here or an appointed volunteer. This is one of the main considerations we have to observe, mainly because if something was to happen and nobody's in here to help you, it could end up very badly. The other things which we go through from here are just to lay out who can and can't use the woodshop. And for us, it's important that you are an ID card holder and that you are over 16 years of age. Sadly, we can't offer classes or access for anybody under 16 because of safety considerations with the machines. Obviously, during this time of COVID, we are limited on the number of people who can use the woodshop. And currently, we can only have 2 DIY people working in here at one time. So, to avoid any problems or disappointments, please call and register a time that you would like to work. Currently, the woodshop hours are from 10 till 5 each day. That's Tuesday through Saturday at a cost of $5 an hour. Now you can call and speak to people at the front desk and arrange which hours you'd like to be there. It is important that you do show up this time because we do have very limited access and we want to make sure as many people as possible can use the shop. So when you do come to use the shop, there are a few limitations for when you're in here. You can't eat or drink while you're in here. There's nothing which can really cross-contaminate your food or drink, but it is just a major safety consideration. And we cannot have anybody in here who's under 16 years of age. I'm sorry if that disappoints people, but it is, again, Army regulations for the age of people who can use the shop. Now, as we do close at 5 o'clock, it is important that you have planned within your schedule to clean up your area where you're working. So please make sure that all the tools are returned to the area that you picked them up from, and you've cleaned around your work area. And especially in these times of COVID, please ask the Woodshop Manager for disinfecting wipes so they can wipe down all the machines you've used. Also worth bearing in mind, before you come to the shop, as I've said, do call in and check. Now the shop is closed during German and US holidays, and some occasions when the woodshop supervisor is not available during his leave time, they will close the woodshop. So please call and make sure that somebody is here to take care of you. When you do enter the woodshop, we try and get you to enter through the main door. This limits distraction from other people and also gives us a one exit and entry. Now, in case of emergencies, we do have multiple exits. So if we need to, we can evacuate the woodshop very quickly. Always advise a member of staff when you arrive that you are here to use the woodshop, This way we can have an account kept at the front desk so that in case of emergencies we know how many people to account for. We do have a secondary entrance which is normally used just for those bringing in materials to the shop. Please speak to the Woodshop Manager, he can open the door for you, and also please ensure you've told him that when you've finished. This way we can ensure the door is then secured. So when you start in the woodshop, it is essential before you start using any machine that you've spoken with the Woodshop Manager so he can show you the safety features of the machine and its limitations. Many of these machines you may well have used before, but as I've found working in many different woodshops, each machine has its own particular quirk. So please make sure that he's checked you out on everything and don't just presume you know what it might do. We do provide you with hearing protection and eye protection. Now you can bring your own equipment if you wish to, but of course in these times of COVID it is essential that you are wearing a mask when you're working in here. Obviously while you're working in the shop, it is essential that you are wearing hearing protection and eye protection. Before starting any machine, maybe just out of politeness because I'm English, but I would appreciate if you just let other people know you're about to start a machine so they can then make sure they can put hearing protection on. And do make sure if you're using any type of saw, eye protection is absolutely essential. It's very important to make sure you protect yourself as much as you possibly can. This also applies to things like table saws, to use safety sticks to push items through the saw rather than take the risk of having your fingers or hands anywhere near the blades. Now under normal circumstances, each patron will be given one table to work from. Now if you happen to need more space, we can assign 2 tables together for you. Please make sure as you're working that you do tidy up as you go along. Put tools away once you've finished working with them and also clean up around your area. Failing to do this will just track more and more dust around the room and creates a bigger problem at the end of the day to try and clean up. As we do need to keep the dust level down in here, your help is essential in doing this. Please be considerate of other patrons in the woodshop. Try not to monopolise machines because somebody else may be waiting to use them. Also, please verify before you start working on a machine that the previous person has completed their work. There's nothing more frustrating than going back to a machine where you spent 20 minutes putting all the settings in to find that one of your co-workers has moved it. So just check. It's a simple ask of, have you finished with this machine? Just leave it running. The Woodshop Manager is available to help you with your projects. It can help you with the design, the materials, and where to source those materials. We use several different vendors in the area where we can get very good quality materials, but please bear in mind, materials in Germany are more expensive than you're used to in the United States. If, however, you decide that you need the Woodshop Manager's help to help you complete a project and you need more than just a few minutes of his advice, then MWR will charge you for his time. And please ask the Woodshop Manager for the current rate for his time if you do need his services. In the unlikely event of an accident in here, it is important, no matter how small you perceive the accident to be, that you tell the Woodshop Manager, as a record will need to be kept. Just bear in mind, in the last 16 years, we've only actually had 2 accidents of any significance, and both of them actually involved the Woodshop Manager, but I suppose with the number of hours he's in here, it was bound to happen. But if there is an accident which is of any significance, everything must stop. All machines must be turned off. Now, when you look around the woodshop when you get here, you'll see that we have multiple first aid kits in the room. Please acquaint yourself with the first aid kits and their location. Also, fire extinguishers which are located at every exit to the building. These are the emergency things you will need to know and remember. Now, for safety reasons, please, when you're in the woodshop, don't wear flip-flops or open-toed shoes, as many of the items in here are either heavy or very sharp, and if they were to fall on your foot, they could obviously hurt you quite badly. Please also bear in mind not to wear anything which is too restrictive or too loose. If it's too restrictive, it may limit your ability to get out of the way, and if it's too loose, there's a strong chance it may catch in one of the machines. We do have aprons you can wear here, which will also protect your clothing. Worth bearing in mind as well, if you're going to do any type of finishing on your project, it's worth wearing old clothes, because even with the stains which we use here, which are water-based, once they're on your clothes, they will not get that stain out. As you complete the design for your project, it's worth consulting with the Woodshop Manager as to the best type of material to use. He can guide you to the best places in the area to buy your materials. Also, he'll advise you of any potential dangers which are associated with the material you want to use. The only material you can't use in here is MDF, medium density fiberboard, and this is due to the toxic nature of its dust particles. Now, to let you know, we do supply you with glue and screws and sandpaper. The sandpaper, however, we do now charge 25 cents a sheet for, so please bear this in mind. We can also advise you the best places to buy all your sandpaper, or if you want to use a particular type of glue, we can guide you where to buy it. So when it comes to finishing your project, we do require you to use water-based finishes. We don't supply any finishes in this building, but we can guide you the best place to buy them. Any product you bring in must be in its original container. I'm afraid you can't bring in something which your grandfather showed you how to make in a glass jar. If we can't identify it, we can't have it in here. And if it's an American product, we will need to see its safety data sheet. If it's a German product, consult with the Woodshop Manager and he can find the German equivalent, which in the unlikely event of an accident will give him advice of what to do to protect you. Any finish you wish to leave in the building while you're still working on your project must have your name, a contact phone number and the date you brought it in. Please, when you finish your project, if you have any finish left, don't just leave it here. If you don't want it yourself, you can take it across the street to the recycling centre. Unfortunately, if it is left here, it creates quite an inventory problem for us. Now, please bear in mind, if you leave any materials in the woodshop, they must have your name, a contact phone number, and the date you brought them in. Anything left in here for more than 30 days will be considered to be abandoned, and MWR will dispose of them at their discretion. A couple of other things just to mention. You cannot use the woodshop for commercial purposes. So if you're making something for friends or family, it can be on a non-commercial basis. And the other thing, for those of you who've probably got woodworking experience, if there are machines in the woodshop which do need adjustments, please talk to the Woodshop Manager. Don't be tempted to either change blades or make major adjustments to machines, as this has to be done by a qualified person. Now, we've covered the very basics of the Woodshop Safety Class, and when you come to use the shop, we'll go through in more detail not only how each machine works, but other regulations which, unfortunately, this short summation of woodshop safety doesn't have time for. But we look forward to seeing you, and we look forward to your patronage of the Arts and Crafts Centre Woodshop here at the Wiesbaden Army Airfield.